Okay, now we're going to talk about the hard part, getting started, launching and growing the companies today that we want to have in existence in the future. Now, the challenge of this is because most of these companies, there's not necessarily a corollary. My very first business, I sold water saving shower heads. This is 1983, and my friend Peter said, Mark, everyone has a shower head already. Why would they want to buy new shower heads? How can you sell shower heads to people that have shower heads already? I said, just watch. Because the thing is, $10,000 worth of the shower heads I was selling, they were low flow. They were water conservation shower heads. I sold $10,000 worth to Washington University in St. Louis, and they saved $200,000 a year of natural gas and water. And we're looking at all these, we're an economy of massive waste, massive wealth that we've created largely by extracting it out of the earth, then people living like kings and all getting the diseases of kings. We're really entering a whole new version of what it means to be a human being, because we're all eating more fat and calories than hardly anyone other than the kings of old. And they had all the same diseases that we're facing now at a scale that's just never been experienced on the earth. So how do we start these things? Well, we don't have to change everything. It's kind of like what I said in the earlier video. The groundwork has been done. We have so many infrastructures now, so many tools, shall we call them, like the internet. It's a piece of infrastructure, and it's a tool. And built on top of that tool are so many different tools, financial tools, information tools. It's an endlessly malleable tool system where we can create so many different processes designed for solving the problems that are facing us. And so this is kind of like I said earlier, when China built the Great Wall, they had a communication system. The internet is like the Great Wall of the world. We're all getting to communicate with each other. And so, we have a money supply. There's currency. If you want to grow something with dollars, you can do that. If you want to grow it with crypto, we're going to, as we continue to move through this process, there are people who've been working on the tool set. People ask me, crypto, should we do some kind of a coin? It's like, I don't really care. It's like whatever people think is currency, that's what we need to use, because I want to stay focused on the animals. I don't want to get bogged down in designing a tool. I want to use whatever tools we can get off the shelf right now and go save the planet and the animals and humans. I don't want to wait for the next innovation. And really, I've been like this my whole life. Like every day, the opportunities were there since I first realized at about age 10. The opportunities have been there, but we've never had a better tool set than we have today for actually solving these. Now, what really is vital is commitment. And commitment in the monetized cultures is represented with dollars. And because of the innovations in financial technology and laws, now, and the internet and the way it works, now we can aggregate commitment in the form of dollars in really unprecedentedly small amounts. Now, what does that really mean? That means mobilizing a lot of people. In the end, we really need a lot of people commit to going vegan. I mentioned Dr. McDougall's video today. It was he said this a lot, but this is one of his nicest videos. I'm going to put it on our website, on our YouTube channel, so that you can go and look. But he's saying that some of the core studies are saying that animal agriculture is responsible for in the neighborhood of 50% or more of greenhouse gases. And we know what they're doing to the rainforests and everything else. Really, everywhere animal agriculture grows, everything else is degraded. Health and ecology go the wrong way. So really, the most important thing we have to do is help people understand why to go vegan, and they take those actions. Vegan Launch is just another communication channel. So how do we launch a company? Well, because of these new technologies and new financial opportunities, we can start with, it's really about commitment. If there's a founder who is committed, then we build a company with them and organize the capital for them. If there's an idea that needs to be done and there's not a founder yet, as a community, we can decide, okay, this needs to be done. Let's get the money together. Let's hire a CEO from one of the, ethical MBA programs. And, let's just get it done. We don't necessarily have to even wait for a founder to emerge. And so, again, there's just so much money in the system. There's no need for founders to compete with each other. They just have to compete against themselves. How fast can they work? How quickly can they make the progress? We don't want to just, again, throw money at a problem. So how do you start? It starts with a commitment. Same thing. You visualize, as we visualize the larger scale, then individually we look and say, okay, what are the components? And what's already being done well? Where are the missing pieces? So when I say we're going to, start the things that are needed in the future, that's a whole ethic, whether we're doing that as a financial community or whether you're a founder and you want to focus on that one part that you believe in. The time to do it is to start, but it's really in community that things get done. And, we have these beautiful public offer permission now from the government to raise capital publicly again. That we haven't had that right since 1933 as citizens of the US and largely as citizens of the world. So the right to raise capital is a phenomenon that's being spread. And Vegan Launch is like a grassroots capital organizing community. And when I say grassroots, that means everybody, whether you're wealthy, whether you can invest 100 or 200 a year. That's what this community is for, that we get to work together now. And everyone can play their role. So think for yourself, what needs to be done? What have you thought would be, like, wouldn't this be great? Like, one of our early members was from one of the Northern European countries, and she said, I've got all these friends and we all want to do this. And this is really, Vegan Launches for people like her. Bring the people into the community, use the platform. Vegan Launch as an organizing tool to design projects, create them, bring people together, and people everyone being able to participate. No more $50,000 minimums or $10,000 minimums. Obviously, if you have $50,000 to invest, please do, or $1 million. That helps things move more quickly. But we don't need to wait. And my experience as an activist in the 90s was exactly the same. When I got to Washington, D.C., and the U.S. National Forest Service was cutting down the national forest. They were destroying the old growth, the last ecology on the public lands. And so few people were aware of what was really going on the land that we as citizens of the United States owned. And I found some rowdies who we got together, and we started an environmental group. Within the first few months, we were on the cover of USA Today, which back then, this is way pre-internet. It was pre-email. That was the largest communication channel in the US. We were on the cover above the fold, explaining to people what was going on the public lands. So, we were leveraging that communication channel. Now everyone can have, there's so much communication opportunity. So, and what did we do? We sat together and we said, well, if we were president, like if we could snap our fingers, what kind of policy would we want for the public lands? And we said, well, we're not the president, but we can write that policy. So we wrote the policy, and then we found members of Congress who wanted to support it. Then we got a vote on the floor of the House. And then President Clinton tried to basically give the logging industry a free pass to cut everything down, and he succeeded. But because we were there organizing for what we wanted, we were able to bend his fingers back. And by the next year, he realized he couldn't do that again. And without that gateway, that suspension of environmental laws, the whole activist movement was able to move the Forest Service. And really, during that 10 years, the volume of logging in the national forest dropped to this lowest level since 1940. And the whole abomination of clear cutting had been paused for a while. Now, I stopped looking. I don't even want to know, because I knew I had to focus on the big picture, a much bigger picture. But that was a real test case of exactly what I've been saying. It's like, something may feel impossible. That doesn't mean you shouldn't start. And when people say that's impossible, you just have to go and you keep looking for those who are willing to try, because it's a lot more interesting to try and fail than to just live from pessimism. Pessimism is optimism, pessimism, hope, hopelessness. These are polarities. I'll end this video by saying the key to starting is to really get solid in your commitment, to realize this is what you want to put your life into, for better or worse. And that's the hardest part, because we don't want the worst. We only want the good, right? We get into a relationship, we only want the good, we don't want the bad. And to really get something done, you've got to be ready to handle all consequences. And getting okay with that there's a certain energy channel. That's how things get started. That's how things get done. And because of my work in the 90s, I've met some amazing characters. It's amazing what a few people can do. It's still true today, maybe even more so. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson and this topic. And now you know the basics. And as we go into the more and more of the course, we're going to get ever more granular, practical tools, practical techniques to do what I'm sketching out. I'm still sketching here at a kind of a high level. So, keep on with the class, and we'll get down to the granular level, and then soon you'll know how to set your course and how to go, each mile and kilometer of the way. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next lesson.